who do you have as your biggest surprise on a positive note, like we did on the East? Who's your positive note on the in the West?
It's Utah. Utah's the number 2 seed right now. And to me, I thought that Utah would – I'll give you an example. Utah is a team that seems like just like a middle-of-the-pack team. They have some great players in Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley Jr., but can those guys make a difference to actually go and compete for a title? And I've been on the mindset that Donovan Mitchell is still coming into his own. He's a great player, don't get me wrong. But to me, there's another step that he has to take to become a superstar in this league. I believe that he can make that step, but I just have yet to see it yet. So I don't necessarily disagree with Shaq's take a couple weeks ago when he got on Donovan Mitchell about not being a guy that he thinks can reach that superstar level. I believe that he can. It's just I understand where the criticism comes from in Shaq's case. But the way that they've been playing this year, they've been playing absolutely spectacular basketball to start of the season. I mean, they're literally only a half game out from the 1 seed in the West, which the Clippers own right now. But they are just playing solid basketball. They're able to get 30, 35 minutes from Rudy Gobert. And I know he's not really known for an offensive presence, but he's been able to get some buckets. They've been getting great production from Bogdanovich, Joe Ingles, Donovan Mitchell. And then they're getting good production off their bench from Jordan Clarkson and guys like George Niang. Like these guys can put up points off the bench. And if they're consistent while doing it, this team can really end up as a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. I really do think that the addition of Mike Conley Jr. has really paid off dividends because this team defensively is stout. You got Rudy Gobert, who's one of always the top 3 players for Defensive Player of the Year awards. And then Mike Conley Jr. is one of the best defenders at the guard position in the league. And then you pair that with a guy who could score like Donovan Mitchell. I mean, this team, if this team plays its cards right moving forward, I really do think that this team could end up as a top 3 seed in the Western Conference at the end of the year going into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you told me earlier this week that they were on like a 12-game win streak, and I had no idea. I know that I was at Isabel's house. I think it was over the weekend or earlier in the week, and I think the Mavs played Utah, and we lost, and Jordan Clarkson dropped like 33 on our heads. So it was like, holy hell, like Utah's out here hooping. And once again, I agree that Utah is a definite positive note, positive surprise, but I'm going to go with another team, and I'm going to say Memphis at the 4 seed. John Morant is leading these boys into enemy territory, and they are just absolutely playing full-on team basketball. Mind you, John Morant was out for about a week and change with a bad ankle sprain, but he's come back with a vengeance, and Memphis is on an absolute tear. And it isn't necessarily the play of one person. As I had stated, the team as a whole is playing very well. I mean, you have Valanciunas on that team. You have Dylan Brooks. You have Grayson Allen. You have John Morant. You have – who am I missing right now? I know I'm going to be upset. You have Kyle Anderson. You have
you got Tyus Jones.
Tyus Jones. He went to Duke too. But so did Grayson Allen. But gets me nauseous. When does Jared Jackson Jr. or Jalen Jackson Jr. come back? It's JJJ, right? Jared Jackson Jr.
Jared Jackson Jr. I could look it up real quick.
I know that he tore his meniscus in the bubble, and I know that they said that he wasn't coming back for some time.
I can look it up real quick. Let's see. He is the only article that I see is that he won't be ready for the start of the NBA season. This was from one of the local papers for the Grizzlies. So
he'll probably won't come back for a couple more weeks, if not a month or so. I would probably predict him to come back after the All-Star break. And when he comes back, that adds a whole nother dimension to that offense. And I know that him and John Morant have a great chemistry. I mean, just watching them play prior to the bubble and somewhat into the bubble was very fun to watch. Just 2 young stars, 2 young rookies really playing very well together. And I mean, like I said, Memphis is just playing very good quality basketball as a whole. And to have them at the top 4 seed West, top 4 seed in the West. For whatever reason, grammar's not working with me tonight, but that says a lot. Kind of like Cleveland. I mean, Memphis played themselves out of the bubble. Like they had the eighth seed and they almost lost every single game in the bubble to knock them out. And Portland had to beat them 1-on-1 at the end to get the eighth seed. So I mean, if you really think about it, a team that was coming off of a terrible end to a season is started off relatively hot. And I think that if this is an example of what's to come, I can't wait to watch Memphis continue to dominate and play this well in the West.